Hey there, Indra. Just about to get started, so let me see if I can get you to be a co-host here. And might be a smaller conversation because I haven't done much promoting, but let's see if we can find ways to get more people in the room. Are you there, Indra?
Yes, good morning, Bobby. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I am truly blessed, having a great morning already for Monday morning. So I'm ready to
Wow.
go. Yes, I am ready
Okay.
to go.
What made it so great today? What's so great about today for you?
Okay, well, I guess the thing is like I already got everything that I needed to do, like organized. I had a super busy morning. I got up, I've already worked out, I've already had breakfast, I've already checked off, completed the emails, responded. I've already got a plan for the rest of my day after this, so I've already done four things. It's been productive. Yeah, so it's been a really productive morning.
Oh, awesome. And sorry, I was muted. I was talking to myself.
I
How
know,
silly.
I was,
Uh,
I just wondered,
so
wow.
funny. Yeah. No, I'm talking, and then I was like, oh, why is Indra interrupting me? Oh, because no one can hear me. So today we're talking about content strategy and how your mindset works, and your mindset works both good and bad with content strategy. It can either hold you back or it can elevate you and move you. So I want to make sure we talk about that, and answer any questions people have. And I know I only announced the room 10 minutes ago, so it might take some time to build the room up. So I'll keep reminding people to put it out there, tweet it out there. Let's get more people into the space so we can have a conversation about that. And we already have somebody who's joined us on stage, which I think is always nice to have. We like to have questions. We like to have people who can share knowledge with us as we're going about it. But the first thing is take the tweet that's above there in the nest and retweet that out. And the second thing is to take the arrow button on the top there and DM a bunch of folks to see if they want to come into the room and share some knowledge. So and share their story. That's really what it's about today. We'll start with introductions, though. So, Indra is my amazing, wonderful co host who's been helping me the last couple of months. And I'd love for her to start with an introduction.
Thank you, Bobby. So I'm Indra Bartona. I'm a film and television producer and also TV host and content creator and the founder of the Positivity Vibe Tribe community. So I've been keeping busy with juggling uh, my development of my feature film and working on my passion project, which is the Positivity Vibe Tribe. So I have been on this great learning curve for about a year and a half now on content creation, and I've always been attending many of Bobby's uh, earlier, even from last year, his spaces. So it's really truly an honor to be a co-host with him, and also I've attended many. Well, I'm going to say this is going to be the second course, but I also attended one of his other courses. So I'm excited about this course, Bobby, and I hope you're going to share about this one too soon.
Yeah, I'll get to it. I am doing a free training webinar this Saturday, so I will talk about that in a moment. It's related to content strategy as well, and when we look at content strategy, I look at content strategy not just on Twitter or LinkedIn. Like it's a mix. Like how do you create great content strategy on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube, on now TikTok. I'm actually on TikTok now. If you haven't actually seen me there, but you can take a look at what I'm posting on TikTok. It's mostly fun stuff, but I'm learning that as well. But other platforms I've done a lot of work with. So a bit about myself, guys. I'm professional. My name is Bob Yomer. I'm a professional speaker. Last 17 years, I've traveled around the world, across four continents, delivering 1,000 keynotes and workshops on the areas of leadership, personal branding, networking, authentic connection, thought leadership, and digital marketing influence across platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, and social audio. That's kind of what I focus on. But then over the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of coaching and online programs in the same area. Basically, my goal is to help people get clarity on their personal brand in terms of how they're seen and where they're getting more purpose, clarity, and direction of what they want to do. And then I help them build a thought leadership brand. And I do that by helping them work on their mindset confidence, on their personal brand, on how to build meaningful relationships, content strategy, and a digital marketing strategy that's going to work for them. That's kind of what I focus on. And so that's kind of how I help people. And so content strategy is a big part of it. And content strategy is a way for you to start conversations, it's a way for you to show your expertise. It's a way for you to elevate your profiles on different platforms beyond just, oh, that's a nice profile. What else are they doing? And so that's why content is so important. So if you are here and you have a question, or you want to share your story, or you want to share some ideas, or just ask us, me and Indra, about leveraging our expertise, come on, put your hand up, come up on stage. And if you're liking the conversation, please go ahead and retweet the tweet up above, but also share it with the link with your networks that more people come in. And if you want to converse with it, there's a little bubble on the bottom right there. It's a conversation bubble where you can actually share a comment or share a question if you don't want to, if you're not able to come up on stage. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So now today's topic is content strategy and how your mindset works. Now, normally I would go with Indra and myself to share our initial thoughts, but since Bahujan came up on stage already, I wanted to see if they had a specific question. They came up very quickly. So, did you have a question for us? Are you there, Bahujan? Are you able to speak with us?
Hi to you all. I wish you all be fine. I don't have any exact questions about this tutorial. I just wanna say hi to you, and I'm happy that I'm in your space tonight, or maybe today, because there is maybe morning and mine is night. I'm a girl from Afghanistan, and I'm happy to meet you all in this space. And if if I have any question, I will ask it later. But
Sure.
now, just I want to have a say hi to you all. This all. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for being here today. I really appreciate you being here. That's awesome. We love to serve folks, and I love the fact that we have an audience all around the world. We have people from Africa and from Asia, from Europe, North America, and I think Indra and I also are in different time zones too. So I think it's great that we're able to meet people from around the world and create some great content and support people. So with that, I mean, I think we're going to talk about. I guess the thing I want to get into right now is the main topic really is about mindset as it applies to your content. So, Indra, why don't you start with a few thoughts here? I mean, what are your thoughts when it comes to mindset and how it affects our content strategy?
Well, thanks so much, Bobby. I think right from the beginning of when we're even thinking about our content, whether it's a whole new area of content or whether it's ongoing, I think we always have to just take a step back and think about, well, what is the feeling that we want to give people with our content? What is our purpose? To step back and to think about these steps. Because also we have to check ourselves. And that's where I also think with our mindset, we want to be our best selves, in order to serve others and in order to inspire and get everybody else excited. So we always want to like take care of ourselves. We want to make sure that we have all our basics of Maslow's hierarchy, covered off. That it was eaten. We're not dehydrated. We've achieved what we've wanted to achieve. We've for the day. We're organized. We're happy. As far as much as physically possible. A lot of things are out of our control. But the things that are within our control, that we have those things ticked off, and a lot of those things fall back to self care, and that just starting from a good place, and that usually evolves to, okay, well, if I'm feeling good about myself, then I'm going to create something that's great. I'm in the headspace, in the position to create now, or plan, or whatever that specific exercise that we're going to do with our content. So it's really about uh, looking at ourselves and just kind of checking in with ourselves. And sometimes a really good idea is to journal a little bit. And I actually journal for 5 minutes this morning, which is actually a long time to journal for. Like just pouring out on the page. So it was actually as soon as I got up, and I wanted to do this because it's not something that I do every day. Sometimes I journal at the end of the day. Sometimes it's just when I feel like it. But it also is a good way to check in with yourself about if you need to do something extra for yourself and that you're feeling good and balanced about yourself. It's usually a discovery when you just have a quick look over it. So when I was having breakfast, I looked over it and it's sort of like multi-skilling, I know, but I was eating breakfast and I just kind of looked over it and it was only really like half a page of thoughts and but it gave me a good perspective on the things that I needed to do today as well for myself. So they're just some like opening thoughts, Bobby, about um, taking care of ourselves first in order to have a great and positive mindset in order to go and tackle the day and what we're going to focus on with content.
Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate that. And I think I'll share my thoughts in regards to mindset because I want to focus on the mindset piece is really important because there's a reason why people don't create content. There's a reason why they're shy about creating content. I mean, if you look at some of the numbers and data on content creation, on LinkedIn, for example, only 5.2% of people who are on LinkedIn, of 850 million people, create content. That's a very, very low number because people feel shy or they feel like, oh, what if I'm being judged or what if what if people don't like it or what do I say? And there's uncertainty, there's doubts, there's all these things that get in the way of us putting content out there. On Twitter, 70% of people on Twitter are just consuming information. They're not tweeting. So that tells you something because people certainly, it's important to create content, but a lot of people don't put content out there. So I think the mindset piece is critically important to understand what it is that holds us back. And usually there's few things that come to play. I mean, one of the biggest ones is, is really I'd never thought about it. Like they don't see the value of it. So, part of it is building an understanding of why content is so important, right? So when I look at content, the why for content is because you're trying to build relationships, whether you're in business or you have a career. Building relationships is really important. So content is a great way to start conversations with people, to build relationships. Content also is a great way for you to ask questions and crowdsource your audience, and again, learn from who's in your community. It's a great supportive community builder. Content's also a way to showcase your expertise and things you're passionate about. If you're passionate about sailing, you can talk about sailing. If you're passionate about your work, you can talk about your work and talk about trends in the industry. Showing your passion, showing what your expertise is, what you care about. That's also a way to get people to see you as an authority or an expert or someone that is worth talking to. And so for all these reasons, content also, sets yourself apart. Most people will check out your Twitter profile, your LinkedIn profile, your Instagram profile, but your content is what sets you apart. I'm learning that right now as I'm trying to build up my TikTok portfolio. My content's what's going to set me apart versus just my profile. So it's important to understand the why. And then the other reason from mindset perspectives that holds people back is, one is there's a lot of uncertainty about, what I should do or what do I talk about or, you know, will people really want to hear from me? I mean, you won't know unless you try. You won't know unless you actually start. And so a lot of people from a mindset perspective have a really hard time just starting. It's actually amazing that this just even doing that first one piece can make all the difference. If you can just start, then everything else is a lot easier. And I often use a story where, um, when I was growing up, I was very shy with girls, and I would never ask them to dance and things like that. And I was always really, I just never would do it. And I avoided it for years and years. And finally, someone just said, "Why don't you just do it? Just do it." And so I did it. And the first time was still pretty awkward, but by the time I did it the first time, after that second time got a little bit easier, and the third time got a little bit easier. By the time I got to the seventh time, okay, you know what? I think it's not so bad. And so anything that is intimidating, anything that is daunting, anything that, where we have doubts about or concerns about or not sure about starting is always hard. But once you make that step, it's just incredible how much it lowers the barriers and lowers the walls between you doing it again and again, the second, third, and fourth time. So it's important for us to really be mindful of that mindset. And my favorite quote is, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. If you think you can't, it's going to affect that you can't. If you think you're right, it's going to positively influence that you can do it. And so work on our mindset is critical to success when it comes to our content strategy. Now, with that, we'd love to have people come up on stage and share your thoughts. You have any questions about what we're talking about today? We're talking about content strategy and how your mindset works. It's the Power Connection Chat. We do this every week on Mondays, usually at 11 a.m. Today I had a slow morning, so I wasn't able to do it until 11:30. But I wanted to make sure that you guys could see, you could be part of the conversation and share your thoughts and share your questions. So if you're liking the content, please retweet what's above. Tweet this out to your audiences. Let's get more people in the room. Indra, anything you want to comment on what I said?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Bobby, I was absolutely blown away at the stats that you just shared with us about both LinkedIn and Twitter. But that makes a lot of sense. That I love the tack that you're taking as far as mindset holding us back. Uh, I did a recent course the last couple months with Lewis Howes, and he said that the biggest thing that pretty much is stopping everybody, just even from success, no matter what they're doing, if they're content creators or otherwise, entrepreneurs, whatever their field of expertise is that the fear of what others will think of them, and also the fear of um, failure, because, oh, well, if I try this and if it doesn't work, that's it, game over. So there's, but I had no idea that I actually thought there were more creators than that. But it might just be the circles that I'm in personally. But that really blew my mind, Bobby.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to blow minds. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize how few people create content. Now, the going rate on LinkedIn had always been like 1 to 3%, but then recently the LinkedIn algorithm research came out and it's at 5.2%. And so, but it's still low. We've known it's low because I see the same content creators all the time. And like when I look at the fact that on LinkedIn I have 47,000 connections and followers, right? How many of them are actually creating content? I would say, a couple hundred, but I know more of them because I hang out with content creators. So it still is really, really small number. And so same with Twitter too. Most people I know are just, they just consume content. They don't actually tweet. And so that's something a lot of people don't realize. So content creation, and that's because content creation, it is hard in the sense that we have to acknowledge that it is hard for people because it's different. The same reason why I've spent years teaching people how to network more effectively at networking events, because most people go to networking events and don't talk to each other, or they hang out with their friends because they're shy or they feel held back or they don't know what to say or they're overwhelmed. And so, if it's afflicting people in a live setting, it's also going to affect people when it comes to content. And content is a little bit is less common experience than meeting people in person, so at networking events. So that's why it's so low. But that's also why we're trying to educate people to do more of it over and over again, because I think it's going to be huge for them to build up that skill set and start getting attention with their content. So yeah, and speaking of content, I just put up 2 tweets up there about promoting the event. If you want to, retweet this out there to your audiences, we really appreciate if you guys can just retweet the ones that are in the nest, or you can click the arrow and tweet to your audience, say, hey, come join us for a discussion about content strategies and how your mindset works with those strategies. Tag me, tag Indra, and that way if you tag me, I'll see it, because otherwise I won't see it. And then I'll retweet to my 500,000 followers, and next thing you know, we'll get more people in the room, and next thing you know, you might get a couple of followers. So it's a win-win. So I encourage you to do that. And then I also put in a third tweet in the nest, which is my just an excerpt from what I'm tweeting or talking about on TikTok. I'm just sharing some fun videos of stuff. So that's a different content strategy. And again, mindset. I avoided TikTok for the longest time, and I just started a week and a half ago. And it's been going, fine, okay. I mean, I don't really get the platform as well. I'm learning, But why did I delay so much? I mean, when, as a speaker and having done thousands of videos, you would think that a video content platform would be the perfect place for me to go put my stuff out there. But what held me back was overwhelmed. I was like, oh man, I have to add another thing to my list of things to put content out for. I'm already doing LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and upload to YouTube. Like, it's just a lot. And so I was really apprehensive about adding another platform to my repertoire and my time, and when am I going to get work done, and all that kind of stuff. Your mind is what's interesting about your mindset is the most convincing, charming person that can get you to do whatever it wants. So, when my mind talks to me, he's like, oh, he's very convincing. He's very persuasive. He knows all my pain points. Oh, Bobby, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. Oh, no, no, no. You should avoid this, Bobby. He's very charming and persuasive. So you have to find a way to get around that. And I finally just started, and now here I am. And I've now put up about, maybe, I don't know, I haven't counted, but maybe like a dozen videos. And we'll see how it goes. But again, you have to just start. I mean, the question to ask yourself is, what is stopping you from starting? And if you want to come on stage and tell me what is stopping you from starting, or you want to share what got you started in content creation, I would love to hear it. So put your hand up, come up on stage, and share your thoughts, share your story, ask your questions. That's what it's all about today. Indra, how about you? I mean, has there been a place where, so I gave my TikTok angle where my mindset was like, it took a while to get over that hump. Have you had any kind of situations like that too?
Well, yeah, I mean, right from the beginning. Okay, so, coming from a entertainment background, everybody would probably think, oh, well, that's easy for you because, there's photos of you and your husband on the red carpet and but they don't realize that I've always been sort of most of the time, a lot of the time behind the scenes, but then even on the hosting gigs, it's not like I've been out there doing any kind of promotion or anything. So, and I wasn't creating anything. So when I created the community, the Positivity Vibe Tribe community, suddenly I was faced with, oh, and people were saying to me, oh, well, you've got to create some content now. And I was sitting there absolutely baffled, like, well, so where do you start with these things, Bobby? So that could be a good thing, a good place to also, kind of hover around in discussion is, I think what's overwhelming, and it was overwhelming for me, was, well, how do I even start? Like, where do I start? And for me, I had to really kind of dig deep and go to, okay, well, what's my purpose? Uh, what's the vision? What are the goals? Like some of these basic things. And what are the areas that I want to focus on? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because, suddenly I had to create content where I had never done it before. And it is overwhelming at first because you just think, oh my gosh. So, I've got to create content for Twitter, I've got to create content for Instagram. I mean, it never ends.
Yeah, I think the best starting point when it comes to content creation is two things. Number one, what are the things you care about? Like, what are the things you care about and want to talk about is the first thing. And the second thing is, what does your audience care about? Right. So what are the things that they want to hear? So let's start with the first one. Was, what do you care about? Well, these are things that you care about professionally, things you care about personally. So for me, I love to talk about personally or professionally. I'd like to talk about branding, personal branding, and content creation, and building relationships, business development strategies, things like that. I like to talk thought leadership. These are things I love to talk about. And then from a personal perspective, I like to talk about things like music and pop culture. I like to talk about movies. I like to talk about board games. I like to talk about my kids and being a parent. These are things that I love to talk about. Politics. These are things I like to talk about. Then the second thing to think about is, okay, what does your audience care to hear about? Like, what do they need? So when you think about your target audience, right, I think about, well, what are their pain points? What are the things that are, what are the pain points in their life and their business? What are their bliss points, things that make them happy and get them all excited? And what are the biggest questions they have? Like, I think about my audience, like here all you guys are in the audience, right? So there's right now there's a bunch of you here, and again, we'll let more people show up in the room. But those of you who are here, what are your five biggest questions that you are trying to answer for yourself? It could be, I wish I knew what kind of content to create, or where do I start my content, or what kind of content should I do, or how often should I do it? These are all questions you might have. And so if I know the questions of my audience and my target, and I can just start answering them by tweeting or doing a video or creating a post or sharing a photo and talking about it, then that's the start. But the best question to start with content is really to say, hey, I'm creating content. What would you, my audience, like to hear from me? Just start with that question. You can't go wrong, right? Because the people who are there will start to respond and give you some ideas of what you might want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, Bobby. That's great. Yeah, totally agree.
Awesome, awesome. So again, we're talking about content strategy and how your mindset works. We really want people to come up on stage and share thoughts, and we also love to get more people in the room. But we're trying to make the connection between mindset and content strategy and why it makes a big difference. I'm going to share with you another really interesting stat about mindset, okay, and confidence, okay. So according to a recent study, 62% of men and 79% of women felt that they lacked confidence in the workplace, and that was an issue for them in terms of doing well in the workplace. And then further to that, 95 to 99% of these people felt, men and women felt that confidence was an important, critical success factor for career advancement and growth. And so mindset and confidence they both kind of go hand in hand. Your mindset affects your confidence affects your mindset. And we're talking about not false confidence, but like authentic confidence, building confidence around what you're doing, and how do you build it so that you can be more persuasive. And this affects your content, because if you can work on your mindset and you can create content that's more confident, what I always like to say is confidence wins confidence. And what I mean by that is that the more confident you are with your tweets and your videos and your content, the more you will confidently build confidence in other people that what you're saying makes sense. It's part of persuasion, it's part of influence, it's part of impact. And so when you post and create content confidently, other people are feeling comfortable what you say, and they're more willing to do and act on what you're talking about. And that's why, again, it's so important to have a strategy that's based on building your mindset and also having more confidence. And that to me is a really important piece. Indra, any thoughts on how does confidence affect your work and your content?
Well, this is 100% actually. Confidence is everything because, well, actually, if you can't be confident, bring energy as you're talking, that others can't feel confidence, then they're not going to listen or they're not going to want to read your content. And a great example, I mean, you're a great example of that, Bobby, because you speak with conviction, with lots of energy. You believe in what you're sharing, so you really, everybody has to have that self-confidence. And the thing is that nobody else can do it for you except yourself with this confidence. And it really comes down to believing in yourself, believing in your products and your services, and believing in your offering. Now, if you don't believe in yourself, I mean, having a team of people, I mean, they're not going to follow anything that I say if I don't believe in myself, if I don't speak with confidence, if I don't give them that level of confidence in the directions that I'm sharing with people. It's sort of like a really strong basis and a good foundation for everything is to believe in yourself, believe in what you have, believe in your content creation, believe in everything that you're sharing with others, because otherwise, that's going to show, it, particularly like in written content. I think it's if you don't have a passion and belief in it, and if you're not going to have that confidence, then it's not going to be as good as it could be. I mean, they're just some of my thoughts, Bobby, on having self-confidence and having, I mean, it goes right down to the root of self-belief, in fact.
Yeah, self belief. That's a great topic too. Self belief is certainly something that a lot of people struggle with. I mean, I work with people when it comes to just their presentation skills, and they lack the belief in their abilities to convince an audience. Now, a lot of it just comes with practice. So, I mean, practice is something that also helps too. The more you practice content, putting content out there, right? Like I said, the first tweet or the first video may not be as good, but once you get to like 5 and 10 and 20, you start to get more confidence around doing it, and not only creating it, but also confidence to put it out there. And so, again, it's kind of like it has like this self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you think about it, the more you try it, the more you do it. So I think that that's something to keep in mind too. Oh, sorry, there's a little noise there. So yeah, I mean, so again, if anybody has questions specifically about content strategy, how your mindset works, I mean, I'd love to have you on stage to share. But Indra, I mean, I'm not sure, if we, how you want to proceed with our conversation. We're trying to get a larger audience in here, but obviously I planned it a little bit too late. But I want to get your thoughts on that. I mean, here's my mindset saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm putting together an audio room and I did it too late. No one's showing up, so maybe I should stop." But at the end of the day, you also have to like be practical about it. So, Andrew, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so my thoughts are that, Bobby, I think we should continue the conversation because there will be people that will listen to the replay afterwards that maybe they tuned in at 8 o'clock and they probably thought, oh, Bobby's not doing the room, so I'm just going to go off and do what I need to do. But then later on, they'll probably see the replay being posted. So then they're going to come back. So I think it's still a very valuable conversation, and I think they will come back and listen to the replay. So I think we should continue a little bit longer. But as far as the direction of the conversation, I think that look, there's various things that you can do that will give you confidence, and one of the main things is to just start and to just do. When we do take actions, uh, it's really great to have kind of a balanced expectation about it, particularly when we're starting something, that there are going to be lessons learned. Not every piece of content that we're going to create, even now, I have to say, look, I still could have done that better. Or, wow, I didn't get that many likes on that. Maybe there's a way that next time I can rephrase that. So I think there's always room for improvement, but it's just not to take things, too deeply to heart, because remember, it's all about um, learning and kind of failing forward. I mean, most entrepreneurs and successful people, everybody has had to go through different lessons. And okay, so that didn't work, and that's okay. So we just tweak it a little bit. So when you're in that process of, okay, well, I'm going to tweak this, and then I'm going to reapply it in a slightly different way. And sometimes, that's all that we need to do. It's really just um, tried and true methods. Uh, it's certainly been the case for me. Not everything that I've done the first time has been an amazing success. In fact, it hasn't. But you have to just keep going. And that's part of being a creator.
Yeah, I like the idea you said before about failing forward. So that's a great concept. Can you explain what that means to you?
Yeah, sure. So basically, when we fail forward, it means that we're moving forward, regardless of the outcome. And not, and I think it's almost like the expectation is uh, not to see it as a complete failure, even if it doesn't work. But when something doesn't work, I always think there's a learning opportunity. And that's the piece that we basically have to narrow in on. So, out of that exercise that we did that didn't work, were there any elements in that, if you break it down and you look at it under the microscope, were there pieces that did work, but there were other pieces that didn't work? Okay, so just let's go really simple here. And if we were just talking about a post, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Twitter, what if just the basics of that post were we posted at the wrong time? for the majority of our audience. Now, this is an actual learning curve for me. This actually happened to me. So I was posting mostly at the end of the day, or, sort of at my time, Pacific time, say anywhere from 3 to like 6. Now, that was the time that was the least amount of people that I'm connected to. So what works for me is either in the morning or later at night. I still do post sometimes in the afternoon because it's just okay. Well, I'm just going to randomly post, but if I really want to be effective, it's sometimes about the timing. So to actually go back and show you like, okay, well, how did she rework this? Well, I just simply posted at a more optimal time for me, and that same piece of content performed better. So sometimes it's just about looking at your process and thinking and breaking down the pieces and learning from that and not thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to throw that whole idea away. But there could be elements of that idea that still could be reworked, or maybe other times I've had to actually rework the way I've written the content. And so just having an open mind, I think, is the best way. And kind of being curious and playful with your content, not taking everything too seriously, like, okay, it's the end of the world, like that didn't work. Okay, we're all going to have those pieces of content that just not even one person even like that. So uh, so that's the thing, that just to be open, like failing forward to me means that there is a lesson somewhere there, and we need to go in and we need to investigate that lesson.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Indra. And the reason I asked is because I did a whole keynote specifically on the failing forward philosophy a couple years ago. And the big thing, and I was teaching young students how to fail forward. And the big thing of it all was the learning piece, right? The way you fail forward is that as you're falling, you, as you're falling, you near the end you learn try to make sure you figure out what you've learned from the failing, and that allows you to, as you're falling, take a step forward and keep going. And so that learning piece is so important, because every single time we have a failure or something that doesn't meet our expectations, an opportunity to learn about that, evolve, grow, and become better next time. So that to me is a huge aspect of it. And the other aspect of failing forward is, you're more likely to fail forward versus fail backwards if you accept the fact that failure is something that can happen and is okay if it does happen, right? It happens and it will happen, and so it may happen again. But if you're open to the idea that it happens, then you're more likely able to handle it. You look at people who go skiing. I'm not a skier myself, but I know that one of the first things they teach you in skiing is how to fall, because they want you to, be preventative in terms of prevent injuries and to be safe out there. But it's a good skill to learn how to actually fall before you actually go skiing. And same with failing forward. Accepting failure and learning how to fail goes a long way in terms of how you fail forward. And so when you apply that to content, yeah, every piece of content doesn't always work, and I'll go back to my TikTok experience, because that's very, very new for me. Okay. I put a TikTok video, and and most of them get a certain number of views, right? Let's say for argument's sake it's like 300 views, and then I do one video and it's like, why is there only like 10 views? I don't get it. Like, why is there only 10? And so my instinct is that I should just delete it, do it again or something. And so a couple of times I've deleted them, and I'm just like, and I was like, man, that sucks. I want the better results, and so that's kind of what I did. But now I did one recently, I think yesterday, and I don't understand. I thought it was a fantastic video, but it only has 10 views. I don't get it, and the other ones get hundreds. So I don't know what's going on. But I left it there because maybe someone else will see it. But you know, I learned that sometimes content doesn't hit, or maybe it's bad timing, or maybe you know. I put the wrong, I guess, tagline or whatever. Who knows what it could be? But I left it there because I think it's good to show that sometimes content doesn't always work. Sometimes content doesn't really, it doesn't make it. So if you go to I have a tweet up in the nest there where I talk about Canada's Got Talent. That one, was doing far better than the one before. But if you go to my TikTok channel, you'll see I have this one video, which I think is adorable. It's my daughter making a scowl at my face when I'm recording or doing Just Dance, but it's really funny. But only 10 people liked it. I was like, okay. Whereas the other ones get a couple hundred views. So, you have to continue to learn, keep trying. And again, the other thing is, we talked about the hardest thing to do is to start. The second hardest thing to do is to get back on the horse again when you fall off. And so you want to be able to keep putting the content out there and keep tweeting and keep sharing stuff because you never know what's going to land or hit. And that's a good segue into the workshop we're doing. So if you look at the latest tweet up there, I'm doing a free webinar training on your 2023 Ultimate Content Strategy, how to monetize and land clients by multi-platform expansion. And what I'm talking about there is that, what's happened for a lot of people is, some people don't like Twitter. Some people don't like LinkedIn. Other people get locked out of Facebook, or they're worried about Twitter and the Elon Musk stuff going on, or they got restricted on LinkedIn, and so it affects their business. And so there's a reason why it's important to have multi-platform a brand across multi-platforms. And so, it's fine to have the one primary, whether it's LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever it might be, but you need to have a secondary or maybe a third one as well. So if you want to build a multi-platform expansion with your content strategy, I'm doing this workshop. It's free to attend on Saturday, December 3rd. So click the link above, see what it's all about. Sign up. Let me know if hopefully you can come by to it. There's also a couple of really cool add-ons that we're doing there too to help people customize their platform expansion. So if you want specific hands-on, one-on-one support with your content on LinkedIn or your content strategy on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, myself and two other experts are coming in to share that knowledge to help you out. So Ilya Francis is a TikTok and Instagram video content expert. Melanie is a LinkedIn expert, and I'm a LinkedIn and Twitter expert. So we're going to help you with your multi-platform content strategy. And also, we're going to talk, most importantly, about how to monetize, because it's fine and dandy to put together a content strategy, right? Yay, content. I got 10 hits, 10 views, like even my TikTok. Hey, a couple hundred views, yay. But how do you actually monetize? Now, I'm not going to talk about monetizing TikTok because I don't know yet, but Ilya will. But I'm going to talk about how to monetize on Twitter and Instagram and Clubhouse. Or sorry, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Clubhouse. Those are my big three. So I'm excited to talk about that. And monetizing is the next step, right? Content strategy is the start, right? You want to put the content out there, put it out there. Then you want to expand to other platforms. Then you want to find a way. You want to find a way to monetize. And so that's really what I'm focusing on in that workshop. And Indra, you coming to that?
Yeah, I'm all registered. I'm looking forward to attending this workshop because look, even though some people say, "Oh, well, you've been out there doing your content, doing all this stuff," and I think, well, I can never learn enough, tips and tricks and hacks and new ways to do things. And also, revision is really important. It's always good to like go back over things and just reinforce because I forget a lot of things. There's so much stuff that we have to do as content creators. It's important to, listen to fresh ideas and also different perspectives on what you might already be doing. So I'm excited, and yes, I am registered.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks. I'm glad to hear that. So, yeah. So today we're talking about content strategy and how your mindset works to either propel those strategies or to hold you back from those content strategies. So, I've invited a few people up on stage. We'd love to have people on stage come up on stage, share what is your content strategy, share what are your mindset good and bad things that you're dealing with, share a tip or a story. This is a chance for you to talk a bit about your brand, what you're doing, and are you doing just Twitter? Are you using LinkedIn? Are you using Instagram, TikTok? I want to know more about your content strategy and the mindset challenges that are there. So, someone's come up on stage here. Curious. Go ahead with your question or comment. Are you there? Go ahead and speak. Okay, he may not realize he's on stage and we can hear him, so I'm going to mute his mic. But if anybody else wants to come on stage and ask a question about content strategy, about mindset, about what you're doing on Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok, This is a chance for you to learn from experts and to get people to help you put together the best content strategy that actually leads to greater connections, relationships, leads to more monetization, that leads to greater communities, that leads to building your thought leadership brand. That's what today's topic is all about. So I'd love to invite you guys come on stage. And if you can't come on stage, you can share questions. You can share questions in the you can come on stage and ask a question, or you can share questions in the bubble there on the bottom right. If you're liking the content, you can certainly tweet it out there. Just click the arrow on top or click on the tweets that are in the nest and just get more people in this room. Looks like a few people have joined us, which is great. We'd love to have more of you coming in and talking to us about this stuff. So with that, I mean, anything else we want to cover today, Indra, in terms of content strategies and mindset?
Well, hey, I also, yes, but I just wanted to let you know, Bobby, that Curious is having, just put in the chat that Curious is having some connection issues. So he apologized about that. So just to let you know that he was trying to speak. Curious, did you want to try one more time? The other thing that you could do is if you're unable to speak is you might need to leave the room and come back. And that seems to fix a lot of the audio issues, I would say 90% of the time. So if you did want to leave, if you're unable to speak and come back, we'll definitely invite you back up. I wanted to say hello to my friend Success Minded who's here. Thanks so much for joining us in the space. And of course, everybody, we Success Minded and I have a great space every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we always have great conversations there. So don't forget to drop into our space on Thursday. And yeah, Curious, are you able to join us?
He could also put his question or comment in the tweet conversation too, right? So that would work as well if he wants to do that. And anyone else want to come on stage and share a thought or ask a question or tell us what your content strategy is? Tell us where you are. Are you on just Twitter? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on TikTok? Where are you guys? Come up on stage and share. Give us your 30-second pitch. I'm giving you an opportunity now to share your business, to share your love, to share what you're all about. How often do you get to do that on a stage with myself and other people? So, but again, what's amazing, the people who step up and put their hand up are the ones who get heard. The ones who don't step up, well, they don't get heard. So if you want to be heard, step up and be heard, because I'm providing an opportunity here and I want to support people. So that's kind of what I'm doing today. So come on up and share your thoughts. We've already shared a lot of insights on mindset and content strategies. So we'd love to hear from folks. And I see Q has come up on stage. Welcome to the stage. Go ahead with your question or comment. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Mic check 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little bit low, but go ahead.
Nice. Hi guys. So I'm Q. I'm an aviator turns into a drone headmaster. Currently, I'm moving forward with my vision to share beneficial knowledge, where I'm guiding unfortunate children towards electric aviation for the future. So my question is, there's a question here, where it will take on the content strategies, where I'm back to the vision where I'm teaching kids about drones, but still guiding them towards the future technologies where electric aviation will be coming up. Towards the strategies, how do you plan out those contents where it can goes into education, entertainment, and everything such? Would love to hear that.
Andrew, why don't you share your thoughts first and I'll go.
Okay, so Q, I was just and please correct me if I didn't hear correctly, but you were saying that you want to find ways to share the content about educating more children about innovation and new technologies. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so I think the thing is that it's all about, okay, so what platforms are you using? Is it going to be on Twitter? Is it going to be, on LinkedIn, Instagram? Figure out what platforms are you on and what platforms do you want to activate? Also figure out what are the forms of content that you're going to produce. Is it going to be words? Is it going to include visuals? Are you going to have audio? Are you going to have things like Twitter Spaces audios? Are you going to have shows? Is it going to be a podcast? Like, just map out first, like, what is the plan? And then figure out, well, what is the main, also figure out what is the main message and the purpose of this. Like, what are the messages that you want to communicate specifically in the content? Do you want, so it sounds like you want to teach. I'm jumping in here on a ledge. Inform them, educate, all those things. Okay. Yeah, so those things you want to have in your content. Over to you, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing you have to figure out, and I think Indra's perfectly right on that. I mean, knowing your target and finding out what they want is one thing, but the second thing I think is working on the craft to create better content and stories. Right? What is the way to get people's attention? And I think that to me, honestly, and I tell this to everybody too. I think the best way to start is to just create a 1-minute video sharing why you're doing what you're doing. Give people a little bit of vulnerability in there, right? So, and give people a little bit of vulnerability to talk a bit about the people you're trying to inspire and what's in their minds and hearts, and then relate to why you're doing it. And you can do that in just 1 minute, right? I'm going to do right now for you from my why am I here? Why am I here giving my free time in a Twitter space to all you people below? I'm going to tell you right now what it is. So my why statement is there are lost, stuck, or unfulfilled leaders everywhere. And what that means is everywhere I go, I meet people who feel lost in their jobs, stuck in their careers, or unfulfilled in their relationships. And I've been there too. I was an engineer, then I got let go, tried to figure out what I want to do, then I did my MBA, then I did brand marketing, then I got let go, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And now I've been able to forge a path of passion and purpose and legacy by diving into my personal brand. And so what I do now is I work with people to help them get clarity in their personal brand and then share their stories out there so they can build a thought leadership brand and inspire people and change the world for themselves and other people. That's what I do. And so if you're ever feeling lost or stuck, it's okay. I've been there too, but you have to ask for help and you got to make the moves to do what you got to do. I mean, and so that's how I help people. And I just shared that with you in just 1 minute, Q, about what I do, who I do it for, and why I do it. And that's the first thing you got to do. You got to share that with the world. Now, if you need help with video content or you need help with your words, you can either get feedback from your friends to make sure the words and the video are top notch. Like if you go to my website rayallen.com, you'll see my main video that I made. It's a 3-minute story of who I am and what I do, and I've had that there for years now. I think it's like 6-7 years old now, but it perfectly encapsulates exactly what I do. And so I would make sure that you work on the content. And the other thing I'll say that I find really helpful is think about a 10-story arc on why your purpose or passion or your cause is worthwhile. So if you're focused on, I guess, drones, getting people excited about drones, put together a 10-part video series, 1 minute each. Don't make them too long, less than a minute, of all the things, the A's to Z's of ABCs of drones and what's important about them or whatever you want to talk about. And just make that 10-part series. I've done a 10-part series on personal branding. I've done one on thought leadership. I've done one on how to get a TEDx talk. I've done one on how to be a speaker. And they're all on my YouTube channel. But I find that when you have those 10 videos and you structure it that way, it's a great tool for giving you a springboard for other pieces of content because you might take, so for example, video number 7 is all about coaching. Okay, you know what? I can talk about coaching and why coaching is so important. And those are more videos that I might talk about. I think that's what I would suggest you do in terms of getting going. Hope you find that helpful.
It is helpful. Thank you very much for those tips and tricks towards exposing the message in my heart. Thank you very much.
No problem. And you know that one of the things that's important, and everyone here listening in, Q steps up on stage, speaks a little bit, gets some advice, and now what's happening is this is good for your brand because when you step up and you start, now people know who you are. We're talking about you. We're encouraging people to look at your profile, and this is win-win-win. So for those in the audience who want to come up on stage, this is your chance because I'm going for lunch soon. So I'm going to be leaving soon. So this is your chance to come up on stage, put your hand up, share a question, share a thought. Heck, you can just share a tip. Or you know what? Even better, share gratitude. You want to be memorable? You come up on stage and just say, hey, I'm grateful because I learned one thing. Here's what I learned. Or I'm grateful because of whatever. Something Indra said really spoke to me. Something Bobby said spoke to me. You can also, here's a content strategy. You take a picture of this Twitter space. You put on Twitter. Here's what I've learned from the Twitter space. 1, 2, 3. Tag me. Tag Indra. I retweet to my 500,000 followers. You're providing value to your audience. We get you more followers. Or you put on Instagram. You put on LinkedIn as a post. You tag me. I click on it. I comment on it. My 47,000 followers see, whoa, look what Bobby's doing there. He's talking about this person. Why? Because people follow me in what I'm doing. So there's a lot. I mean, one of the best content strategies for anyone who's struggling is gratitude. You can never go wrong. Imagine doing a weekly post on every Friday on LinkedIn where you say, here's someone I just want to give a shout out to, and here's why they're awesome. And that's it. That's content. It's amazing. There's a guy I know on LinkedIn. His name's John Aspirian. He's a really great LinkedIn guy, great content creator. But every Friday he does a Friday shout out, and he just finds somebody and he talks about them for like a couple of minutes. That's fantastic. That's a great piece of content. I mean, who doesn't love a gratitude post? So if you're ever struggling with posts or content, you can't go wrong with gratitude, right? When it comes to mindset issues that you have to overcome, gratitude is a fantastic way to overcome any sort of mindset issue because you can't go wrong with that gratitude. No one's going to fault you for being grateful for a mentor or someone who inspires you or someone or something that moves you. So start with that and you can't go wrong. All right. Well, with that passionate speech, I see that there's a lot of people listening, which is great. But I really wanted someone to come up on stage and ask a question or share a comment because Indra and I have already been spending an hour sharing oodles of content and oodles of great information to help you guys out. But at this point, it's been an hour in, so I think we'll probably close the room unless someone wants to come up on stage and has something to say or ask a question. I'm willing to stay a little bit longer, but you have to put your hand up to come up on stage. Otherwise, I think we'll end with some closing thoughts. So, Indra, hopefully we've had a good conversation. Now there's people in the room, which is great. I'd love to get them on stage to ask questions, but that's part of the mindset too, eh?
Absolutely. And I think the important thing is like a lot of people, particularly look, Twitter Spaces is still fairly new to a lot of people, as as we know. But the thing is that it really behooves you to come up and to ask some questions, and to even ask Bobby and I what we've just shared. Like if there's something you want more clarity on, then do that. But I actually think we have somebody up here. So great. Kudos to you. Farm, did you have a question for Bobby and myself, or did you want to share something on content or mindset?
I did actually, and thank you guys for holding the space. Appreciate it. Been listening in for a little bit. Couple of things. One, I would just like maybe you guys to focus in on. I've noticed having a contrarian view gets a lot of attention, and so how do you guys use that in your content on a daily basis, or do you? And what are your thoughts around it as a whole?
Well, I mean, having a contrarian view, I mean, do you mean like a minority contrarian view or a majority contrarian view? Because, it's all relative, right?
Yeah, I think it's all relative, right? It just depends on if you're going a little bit against the grain or if you're just bringing up, glass half empty type stuff. It seems to get maybe a stronger response from a lot of people. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, so I think that for example, when you're putting together I mean, I wouldn't necessarily contrary. There's certain topics that are more sensitive, they're more incendiary, that get people talking, right? So, perfect example was Elon Musk taking over Twitter, right? I mean, not just on Twitter, but on LinkedIn, everybody was talking about it, and so I went up there and I started sharing stuff about what I thought. And one of the strategies with content creation on LinkedIn is to come up with that first line or two that really gets people's attention, right? It could be something like, "Here's why Elon Musk is going to fail." Not that I said that, but that'll be an example of something that would happen. Or here's three things that Elon Musk is completely missing when it comes to Twitter, and that's something I kind of did. I talked about having a clear vision, having a way to support your people through HR policies and whatnot, and I talked about and making sure that you listen to your stakeholders. And so that post went very well because I was, and people came and people were commenting and disagreeing and whatever, and I'm open to that because I think those things create really great discussions. The other thing to keep in mind too is from a psychology perspective, right? When we talk about people's pain points and bliss points, those are things that will get people to respond or to act. But the truth is, the one that's the most powerful out of both those things is the pain point, right? So if I talk about a pain point, uh, even a pain point like, if I say Twitter sucks or Twitter's going to fail because of Elon Musk, that's a pain point for people. Oh, why are you saying that? No, I love Twitter, and trust me, I love Twitter too, so I don't want it to fail either. But that the pain points get more attention than the bliss points. Although bliss points are great, what I typically do is I will talk about the pain point, talk about why it's important to understand the pain point, and then come up with a solution that leads you to a bliss point. That's because the ultimate thing is to have both the pain point and the bliss point in your post. And so contrarian views, I mean, I it's interesting because it's hard for me to define what a contrarian. I'm trying to think of an example where I took a view that was different than most. It's pretty rare. I mean, I'm pretty progressive, and so I typically go on the side of more progressive type things. I do remember one time actually on LinkedIn, I was talking about content, and everyone was talking about how, oh, don't you hate all those spam taggers, people who tag you, and oh God, like they're the worst. And then I actually went with a contrarian view. I said, you know, I get 100 tags per week, but here's why I love them. And I did that on purpose because people are like, what are you talking about? Why would you love people who spam tag you? And I wanted this whole thing about gratitude and the fact that they're thinking of me, and it doesn't hurt them to do that. And I had empathy for the fact that a lot of people who are starting on LinkedIn and have small businesses and are desperate for attention, they're doing that, even though it's the wrong thing to do. I can understand why they're doing it. And so I did take that contrarian position. And I think that, it's contrarian positions are fine and they're actually great for grabbing attention. What I think people do wrong with contrarian positions is they just rant about the contrarian position versus giving a meaningful and thoughtful rationale for why they took that contrarian position. I think that's the secret. If you can take that contrarian position and give that one or two liners that gets people's attention and get them started, but then share a meaningful, thoughtful explanation for why you're doing it, that's going to really set you apart. That's my thought on that. Andrew, any thoughts on that? Andrew, you there?
Yes, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yes, I was trying to think of the same type of example that would be um, what I would like to share is that the example of so sometimes people say, oh well, your content is too positive. You're not taking in everything. There could be a negative to that. Well, I totally agree that there can be a negative to everything, but it's where you want to put your focus. So sometimes, there's going to be people that do, as a conversation, come up and they want to present another idea. I don't know if I've said anything that I'm thinking is that thought-provoking as what you're talking about, Farm. So I don't think I have a specific example. I'm pretty much the same as Bobby. I try to support everybody on things, but occasionally there might be somebody that has a really different idea, but I'm not actually presenting any content that may go against the grain. So back over to you, Bobby.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But I think that, Farmer makes a good point that there is an opportunity to use contrarian views or compelling content to get people's attention, that goes a long way. I hope we've answered your question, Pharma. Is that okay, or do you have anything to follow up?
Yeah, no, that's good. I always just like to hear that viewpoint because one of the best content creators I've seen out there over the last maybe year and a half has been like Cody Sanchez, and with the Contrarian Thinker, and that goes to like another piece that I'd love to ask is your thoughts on newsletters and stuff like that. She seems to have been very, very successful at that, kind of going against a lot of the most popular methods, right? She does all of the other stuff, but then let's take, for example, just her investing technique. She's going through and buying old, boring businesses right now, which is definitely a contrarian view compared to most investors out there right now, or were, when the market was exploding. So just an interesting point of view how she kind of goes against the grain in certain things, and I've been looking at how I can best capitalize on that type of viewpoint because I see a lot of the same things, and I'm always trying to point out to myself, the ups and the downs, and kind of finding a place in the middle. So,
well, I think it speaks to the what's really important, though, to keep in mind, Pharma, is what is your brand, what is your style? You have to understand what that is and what works with it, right? So you have to find your own niche that works best for you. I mean, I often say how much I love Gary Vaynerchuk and his content, how he talks, because he talks about things I talk about too. He talks about entrepreneurship, the hustle. He talks about kindness and compassion, which is great, but he does it in a different way than I do. Like he's he has a certain energy that he uses. He swears a lot, which I'm not a big swearer guy, and that's his style. And someone can say, "Well, Bobby, if I could say, if I could just be like just cutting and swearing and like the way he is, man, I'd be like, I'd be effing great. That'd be awesome." But that's not my style. That's his style. And so what's important too is that some people are really good at doing what works for them. I know it works for me, and I think Indra knows what works for her. And so it's important for us to really be clear on understanding our style, our brand, how we want to make a difference. And you can still be contrarian. And I think that if you can find that methodology or that brand that works for you, talk to your network, see what they think. Then you can get to a really, really good space because you'll be able to take your style and take your unique content and start to niche it in a way that starts getting a ton of followers and getting a ton of attention around what you're trying to do.
yeah, that's great stuff, Bobby. I appreciate it. I mean, my passion is around financial literacy, and I come from a healthcare background, and we just, healthcare professionals are absolutely horrible with financial literacy. And I mean, you could say that about any kind of professional because they've spent so much time doing what they're doing, right? And trying to be an expert in their field. But a lot of it too goes to that mindset piece, which is super important here, right? That a lot of health.
Looks like we lost him for the last 5-10
know it
seconds
all,
there.
right?
Yeah.
I apologize about that. I had a call come in. So, no, just healthcare professionals as a whole, or they're just, they're meant to know everything. The perspective is they're supposed to know everything. And so a lot of them buy into that, and then they just get disheartened and don't go learn, right? And so that's something I'm trying to change. But then that's kind of leaked over into some other areas like, athletes, and we're talking about NIL or professional athletes. Something my business is working with is in partnership with the NFLPA and doing some stuff with them and trying to help them with financial literacy. So that's the passion. I'm just trying to find the right mix of content to be able to provide that will have the most impact. And that's the biggest thing, is a return on impact for me.
Yeah, no, I hear you hearing that. Thanks so much for that. I really appreciate that. And Maria's up on stage too. And I see someone else request to be on stage. We're going to close the room soon, so I'm not going to take any more people on stage. But Maria, you have the floor. Welcome.
Good morning. Hi, Bobby. Hi, Indra. I want to apologize because I missed this whole entire space. I just dropped in here because I saw it was Bobby and Indra talking. And I kind of, I'm always curious. And I think sometimes in the last 5 minutes of any of these spaces, you can get some of the gems out of there. And so, and that's what's happened here. I was not going to raise my hand because part of my mindset is I don't like to come into spaces and just like drop my voice in. I feel like that's not nice to do at the end of a space. I'd rather be fully invested in the content. But when Pharma said that thing about contrarian, it really struck me. And so much of Bobby's response, I was sitting here going, yes, exactly. Yes. That whole idea of the title of your post or your content, you want to avoid clickbait, right? If I put a post out there or a podcast episode and I title it, Don't Follow Me, if I'm going to talk about something completely different and just try for shock value to bring people in, that's the mistake I think a lot of people make. If you're going to flash something and say Mickey Mouse is the Antichrist or something stupid, you need to get the trust of your audience and you need to back up what you're saying with. I don't like that word contrary, like Indra was saying too. It's more of different perspectives. It's just a lot of this is different perspectives. I totally agree with Bobby, what you were saying about tagging, for instance. So many people are so averse to tagging just because a lot of people abuse it. But frankly, I'm flattered. It's nice to be mentioned and it gets you visibility. So it's helpful, I think, and kind if it's coming from the right people. So that's all. I just wanted to pipe in a little bit. Oh, I also wanted to say the chat feature on these spaces. I want to ask everybody in the audience because a lot of you have probably been in here listening to Indra and Bobby drop some gems in here. And I wish more people would take advantage of that chat reply feature because for somebody coming in at the end, like I just did, I do take the time to scroll through that chat to try and catch up on what the conversation was like. And that helps people on the replays to figure out if they want to listen to the recording as well. And it helps form some posts down there that could be reshared for the benefit of the host to help them get their messages out there. So I just kind of wanted to say that as well. I love that chat reply feature. And yeah, thank you.
See what I did there? I added. One of the things I love is the sound effects, which we don't do enough of. I mean, there's so many amazing sound effects that we can use. I wish I. They're so good. So I mean, one thing I'll add too is, Maria, you had said that you were, antsy about coming on stage and sharing stuff, but actually, that's the thing that me and Indra love the most. I love like my culture for doing audio spaces, whether they're Clubhouse rooms or LinkedIn audio rooms or Twitter spaces, is I want people to come on stage and share and talk because I find that the back and forth and the one-on-one goes really, really well. And for me, when people come on stage, if I have like 5, 6, 7, even 10 people on stage, I'm super, super happy. It doesn't matter when you come up on stage or when you want to come on stage, but for me, that's the thing that I love. So with that, I do want to thank Indra for helping me co-host. I do want to thank everyone who came on stage. I want to point everyone to the up on top there. I'm doing a free webinar training called Your 2023 Ultimate Content Strategy, how to monetize and land contents by multi-platform expansion. So if you're considering to expand to LinkedIn or to TikTok or to Instagram or to find the best way to find that balance, this workshop is free. It's for you. Check out the link. I'd love for you guys to be there. It's actually this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So we also had a couple of other extra add-ons if you want more hands-on customized support. So take a look at that. Indra, I'd love to give you your closing thoughts for our topic today.
Well, thanks so much, Bobby. And I'd like to thank all the speakers that came up and also all of the people who were just listening. So sorry to the people that had some technical issues and weren't able to speak today. Not sure what's going on with that, but thank you for your patience. I wanted to say that there was a lot of ground covered here today, Bobby, but the one thing that both you and I were talking about, and to the point where we were really trying to encourage it with everybody, is that just, with mindset and content strategies, the main thing is to get started and to just do it. Because sometimes if you don't take that first step, then you're just still not doing it, or you're doing it sporadically. So commit to doing it and learn from failing forward, as we were talking before. Learn from the things that aren't working for you, learn from the things that are working. And the main thing is just that, getting started, doing it, putting your content out there. And for each platform, there's going to be a different strategy. And that's probably a different space. And we could probably talk about that at another time, to think about the strategies for the different platforms. But just get going, and from there you can build everything. So thanks so much for having me as a co-host, Bobby. I'm excited to attend your training this coming weekend. And if anybody's available tonight, the Positivity Vibe Tribe has a music vibe space tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So love to see you all there. Thank you so much for having me, Bobby. And I'm sending love, light, and blessings out to everybody for a wonderful day.
Thanks so much for that, Indra. And I'll say I want to thank Indra because one of the content strategy and mindset issues that we all have, including myself, is sometimes we give up too soon. Sometimes we're not consistent and we don't keep it up. When this room started, there was around 4 or 5 people, and then maybe up to 8, and went down to 5. And I was like, you know what? I've been here for 30 minutes. We should just maybe stop this room. And Indra said, Bobby, why don't we just keep carrying on? And then next thing you know, now we have 20 people in the space, and that's great. I'm glad that people have shown up and stuff. But I was ready to give up because, again, mindset is something that affects all of us, even those of us with, like myself. I have 500,000 followers on Twitter and 32,000 on Instagram and 47,000 on LinkedIn and 22,000 on my company page. I have a lot of followers, but I still have those issues. So I want to thank Indra for consistency, helping me share that the fact that consistency and patience and playing the long game goes a long way with your content strategy. So with that, I hope some of you will join me for the free webinar on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually looking forward to learning about TikTok because my friend Ilya is going to share how to do well on TikTok, and I'm going to talk about Twitter and Clubhouse, and Melanie's going to talk about LinkedIn, and Ilya's going to talk about Instagram. So it's going to be a fun conversation. Hope you guys can join us for that. If you have any questions, just ping me or DM me anytime, and make sure you follow Indra myself across here and across other platforms. Wish you guys all the best. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon. Oh, and the last thing I'll say is the replay. The replay is going to be available. One of the best things you can do for your followers is to say, hey, I was in this room. Here are the 1, 2, or 3 things I learned from this audio space. Here's the replay. Share with them the replay. And then next thing, they're going to give you some they're going to be grateful for the fact that you shared that. If you tag me and Indra, I'll be able to retweet to my 500,000 followers, which will also benefit you and your followers too. So with that, think about that. Wish you guys all the best. Take care, and we'll see you soon. So long.